The G Pro X is one of the most popular mice at the moment, so it makes sense to make an ergonomic or asymmetrical version, right? Yeah, except as you can probably see, if you really look at the shape, that's not actually what this is. Sure, the design flair is the same, but the buttons are higher, the hump is different, it looks very different from the back. The only parts that's really the same is the front. I saw a few people saying it might be a G403, later known as a G703, but no, I would say it's not even close. I won't go through every difference because basically every angle is different, but now what do you think when I put it next to this mouse? Because that's what this really is a competitor to. Razer and Logitech both have top symmetrical mice, the G Pro X and Viper V3, but Razer had the DeathAdder V3 to suit the players that want this kind of design, and Logitech hasn't had one like that for a long time, so they're addressing that with this. Naturally, I had to put them against each other in game. Which one would I aim best with? Well, the overall shape is clearly very similar, but there are differences in design philosophy. When I pick up the Logitech, I feel the thumb side is fairly flat vertically. Horizontally, it feels a bit more curved. The Razer feels like it bulges a bit vertically, but it's flatter horizontally. I think I prefer the feel of the Logitech for thumb, but the flatter horizontal plane actually helps aim a bit more. And as I'm all about how well I can aim, I'd actually choose the Razer for thumb. Thumb curves need to be done in a certain way for me. I've been pointing out that problem since about the Xtrify M4, and the Logitech actually feels pretty similar. Next, buttons. Both feel natural and good with slight comfort grooves. It looks like Razer has a bit more curvature though, so I like those a little more. Again, I think the feel of the Logitech is better, so if you just put your hand on these mice, you'll probably find that the Logitech is a more natural grip, but the odd curvature of the Razer may make it the better mouse to aim. Although I'd argue both button heights are a bit too high at over 2 cm each. I think these mice need to have lower button height. And for the right side, both mice encourage fingers to be extended toward the front, but if you do claw grip these kinds of mice, the Razer seems to give more room for the little finger, most likely because of the flatter horizontal design. In the intended grip, both feel good, with Logitech having the thinner grip width at 5.7 cm. It's more slender toward the front, which I usually say is going to help aim a bit more. Length is about 12.5 cm on the Logitech, so they're about the same. And finally, the top hump. I can palm grip both with 18 cm hands, they're large mice, but the top hump is a bit higher on the Logitech. Doesn't seem like much, I know, but when combined with these dimensions, the overall feel of the Logitech is a bit bulkier up top, and that actually is enough to throw my aim off a bit. Mouse design is subtle. I've been saying this kind of stuff in reviews for years, so there's no bias. I started maining the FK2 because it was so low, and I switched to fingertip grip. I'm just trying to show that while these mice are very similar, because mouse design is such a subtle art, even these minor differences can actually make a pretty big difference in game. Now that's the theory. I wrote all that down before actually testing them against each other. So in short, the Logitech has a more natural feel on the sides and is a bit thinner, but the Razer is a bit shorter, so despite it feeling more awkward on the sides, I actually feel like I can grip it a bit better. I played a lot of Quake to test this out, and the winner is, for me, the Razer DeathAdder. Both of these mice are too big for my hand size, so there's a chance that with a bigger hand, a player could get past the bulk in the back of the Logitech and aim really well with it. But because the Razer feels smaller and doesn't feel as much as my palm, it's easier to move, and I feel like I can get a better grip on it, despite being less comfortable when just holding it. I actually get pain in my palm when using the DEX, maybe because this hump goes too high, and the Razer is flatter. One thing is for sure, mouse matters, a lot. You can watch these rounds where I just couldn't aim. Like you should be able to see that I can't move my hand the way I want to. I was trying to win, it's not like I cared what mouse I was using. I just wanted to win. That's my goal when I play. This is why we need a much bigger focus on shape, and size, and test new types of shapes. Because despite all the theory we have built up over the years, in practice, things are different. So, is the Razer shape better than the Logitech one? For my hand size, yes. For bigger hands, maybe not. It's not like they've done anything wrong, in fact it's very comfortable. But it kind of reminds me of the Corsair Iron Claw. I just think there's too much curvature on that thumb side, and maybe a bit too much height on the peak. It makes sense for comfort when just using the mouse normally, but in game, not so much. Although that does depend on your grip too. Anyway, that was just a long way of saying I'm going to recommend this to bigger size hands. Bigger than I normally would, despite the thinner grip width. I think you have to treat this mouse like it's going to be 12.5 by 6.2 cm. For palm grip, it'll fill up to 19 cm hands, but I don't recommend palm grip. And for fingertip and claw, I think over 20 cm could be good. This was a really interesting test though. Given how similar they are, I was expecting it to be closer, but it was extremely easy to tell which one I played best with. It really wasn't close, and it has nothing to do with the tech. Both Logitech and Razer are very good. Sensor, latency, it's all top notch. and the weights aren't too different either. I just could not aim the DEX properly, and sure, in a standard game it's probably fine, but when you try to do these precision shots in Quake, you need things to be basically perfect. I can hit this all day usually, with a smaller mouse, but with the DEX, I think I missed over 90% of these. So as always, find what's right for you, and I strongly encourage you to try smaller mice for this reason. And different shapes, shape is king. Now back to weight, it's about 57 grams without the plate, and 59 with either of them. One has a skate on that, but I don't see a reason for that. I prefer using without, and the balance is still good. Here it is next to some other mice for an idea of the size. As said, the technical performance in game was all good, as you would expect from Logitech. They even have the higher polling rates now, but I'll talk more on that in another video. Stay tuned. And the latency was low, of course. One annoying thing about Logitech Wireless is that when you turn the mouse on or just start using it again, for about a second it's always set to 800 DPI, so your mouse moves slower at first, and then it sets your actual DPI level. Unless using 400, in which case it'll move faster I guess. I use 1600, which is the recommended setting. So yeah, if they can fix this to your default DPI, that would be really good, because it is actually annoying. Now here's a listen to the clicks for the overall quality and sound. Left and right have a snap to them, pretty loud, but they feel okay. Mouse wheel is quiet and easy to press in, and scrolling seems really good. It's nice and quiet with good steps. And the side buttons have a bit of a weak feeling, and a bit of extra travel, but they're not too bad. Despite the low weight, it's quite well built. No creaks or cracks, no rattles, it's good. It's a matte plastic texture, so easy enough to grip. Didn't have any trouble. The cable is pretty bad, but it's a wireless mouse with long battery life, so just don't forget to charge it. Okay, so where does it rank? As said, it's competing with the Razer DeathAdder V3, but I don't think the shape is as good. For aiming. For comfort, it's probably better. For aim, not so good. But again, that could just be my hand size, I don't have any way to check that. So it depends on what you want, but from my testing, while the shape is comfortable, if you're trying to aim your best, I feel safer recommending a different mouse. Unless you have a really big hand that negates the issues. I don't think this will be as good because of the extra height on the hump area. However, it is a very low weight, with a lot of great features. So for now, I'll put it just under the Superlight G Pro X. If your seats change position after this review, it's because I've spoken to a lot more people about it and got their thoughts, especially those with bigger hands. Because this is one of those mice that is too big for me to aim properly. If it didn't have that thumb curvature, I probably could. I think that's the issue. So for now, I don't know how good this can actually be. All I know is that it's too big for me, and I aimed the DeathAdder better, despite being a similar shape and size. Anyway, great mouse, glad to see a new shape from Logitech, even if it wasn't for me. Hopefully others can enjoy this one and get good use out of it. Let me know in the comments what you think. And thanks to Logitech for sending it out for review. All thoughts are my own of course. Usual links below if you want to help support what I do. Sub, like and share, and I'll catch you in the next.